what are those issues that we might expect to face and challenges after it's sold. So let's say it's, everything you've described here will result in a successful sale. Mm-hmm. And once we've picked that buyer and it's sold, what issues might we face that we should kind of plan for?
You definitely want, I'm stating the obvious, but you definitely want to select a highly experienced RIA or wealth advisor, as they're known as. Is important to assist in growing the fruits of the owner's success after liquidity event, right? What do they do with all this cash? And they no longer have a cash flowing business support their lifestyle. So it's very, very critical to how they allocate that boatload of cash and how it's going to grow, and not only grow, but also generate cash flow for that, retired person or semi-retired person. The other important point is tax consequence, which is very, very critical. As they say, tax avoidance, not tax evasion. Right. So you want to have a highly experienced tax professional in place that gives you tax advice far enough in advance of a closing, and to determine whether a trust needs to be set up or some legal entity to set up as part of tax planning that needs to be completed far enough in advance of a deal closing. Because if you do it too, and I've seen this, that they haven't structured anything to mitigate their tax liability, from a legal perspective. So that's really, really critical. And then, the other element is, transition planning. Do you have anything to add there, Davis, on transition?
Well, transition planning, one of the things we've seen clients do is take a certain amount of their shares and gift to a charity. If they're charitably inclined, it's a good way to create a tax expense, if you will, or an expense against your estate. So we've seen people do different forms of gifting. We've worked with people who do different forms of installment sales. So there's a lot of current stuff in the marketplace that the sellers need to be aware of. Yeah.
And so those are transition payment plans. There's also the transition of staff, the training. So who will take over that new role? And you can hire someone to give you advice about that, but ideally you've planned that type of thing out in advance. For example, giving offers to your executive team so that they are motivated to stay on board during the transition. How are they going to be motivated? Well, maybe they get a piece of this new company or they get a bonus. So these things need to be negotiated.
Well, that's where I suggested early on that they value the business a couple of years ahead of time and maybe put in place an exec comp plan that allows the executives not only to see what value they've driven in the company, but participate to some extent. And they're part of the executive team, and they know that they're going to be part of a sale. They're all working on the same sheet of music, and it's very, very important. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And there's so many moving parts. If you've never done it before, it's helpful to talk to someone else about it. You won't be able to come up with it on your own and anticipate all the challenges. So you got to write a plan.
That's right.